You can fly higher than the sky, shine brighter than the stars. You can have all you ever wanted.
This week on the show, we have entrepreneur, investor, speaker, and author David Meltzer. Hello and welcome. Thank you so much for watching. This show is all about giving you insights and showcasing brands that help you to live your best life and give you confidence. As always, I want to kickstart your morning with some motivational advice to help you to feel inspired and energized to start your day. Today, I want to talk about the importance of understanding, showing up for yourself, and keeping your cup full. The reality is that people can disappoint us and may not always show up and support us the way we want them to or the way we show up for them. But when you start to show up for yourself, even on the days you don't want to, you strengthen the muscle of utilizing your personal power. When we understand the concept that everything you want in your life starts with you begin to prioritize self-care and being your own cheerleader. Why? Because only you have the power to make things happen by cultivating the beliefs and mindset to take action. Ultimately, a better you equals a better world for yourself and everyone around you. The next time you find yourself prioritizing everyone else but neglecting yourself, refocus your energy on filling your own cup first. After all, we can only give to others when we first learn to show up for ourselves and prioritize our health and wellness first. As Molly Cantrell Craig quotes, "The mere act of showing up for yourself each day will begin to shift the world in your favor."
Stay tuned. Coming up after the break,
I want to talk about, your podcast, The Playbook. You've had so many amazing guests, from Cameron Diaz to Sadhguru. So what's one thing that you notice that is a trait that makes them successful, whether personally or their mindset?
Yeah, it's probably the best question someone could ask, because we've had 1,400 of the biggest billionaires, millionaires, entrepreneurs, celebrities, athletes, entertainers, and world thought leaders. You hit the spectrum with Cameron Diaz and Sadhguru, Deepak Chopra and Brett Favre, or whoever it may be. But there is one common denominator. And the common denominator, as each of these 1,400 individuals that we've had on the podcast, they have one thing in common: the desire that they must be what they can be. They all enjoy the consistent, everyday, persistent, without quit pursuit of their potential. They don't care what other people think. They don't care what's missing. They don't care what they don't want. They're only focused in on, what do I want today? Who can I help? Who can help me? How best to get that done, and prioritize accordingly in the trajectory of what I think I want in the future.
Wardrobe provided by H&M. Next up on the show, we have entrepreneur, investor, speaker, and author David Meltzer. David served as the former CEO of Lee Steinberg Sports and Entertainment Agency, which was the inspiration for the movie Jerry Maguire, played by Tom Cruise. David, thank you so much for joining us today. How are you doing?
Fantastic. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for being here. I'm excited to talk to you. You have a pretty interesting story, but before we get into your entrepreneurial journey, let's talk about how it started. I know you co-founded Sports One Marketing. So what was it about sports marketing that kind of sparked your interest?
Well, it's really interesting. I started my career in technology, and as CEO of Samsung's phone division, I met a guy named Lee Steinberg. They had made the movie Jerry Maguire about Lee, and because of my technology background combined with being a lawyer and being a sports person, he hired me as CEO of the most notable sports agency in the world. And through that experience of working with Jerry Maguire and being a sports agent and running a sports agency, I realized that my skills, my knowledge, and my desire was more on the marketing side in sports. It wasn't on the transactional legal side of representing athletes or babysitting athletes. It was really about being more creative and utilizing my marketing and business acumen to apply to a $1 trillion industry vertical, sports, which I loved and had such a great passion for. So I partnered with one of my clients, Hall of Fame quarterback Warren Moon, and we started Sports One Marketing 13 years ago. And it's been a joy to be in the marketing side of sports, which led me to my current activities, which is to brand myself and market myself to change the world.
Yes. And how do you think working at Steinberg kind of prepared you to be the successful entrepreneur you are now?
Well, I think two ways. Lee Steinberg had extreme situational knowledge and was a great teacher. So that prepared me to be successful in whatever I did. But it was also the relationship capital. It was the inner circle of sports that I got to participate in, and having and building those relationships at the highest level in the inner circle has catapulted my career, because it's not just what I learned there, it's who I knew from working there.
Mhm. Absolutely. And I know your nickname was Money Money in college, and that was because you were determined to buy your mom a house, and you wanted to become successful and become wealthy. So tell us about that period in your life and what kind of drove you to get, become wealthy and have a better life.
Gosh, money and I have had such an interesting relationship throughout my career, but it started because my dad left when I was 5. My mom raised 6 kids, worked 2 jobs, packed our dinner in a paper bag, and drove us around to her second job, filling up turnstiles with greeting cards at convenience stores. And I just wanted to be rich. I thought that money would buy me the last missing piece of happiness and love. It's not as if I didn't grow up happy and full of love in my house with an extraordinary mom and siblings, but most importantly, I thought there was something missing. And it was that financial success that I saw my friends have, with the big houses and nice cars and all the things that I wanted for my mom, because she had invested so much into me and my siblings. I wanted to repay her. But that led me down a journey to understand my relationship, because not only was I able to buy my mom a house and a car right out of law school by making my first $1 million, but everything after that for the next 10 years confirmed that money buys love and happiness. And it took a very big lesson in order for me to shift my paradigm or my perspective about importance of money and my relationship with money in my life.
Speaking about money, I know that you lost $100 million. So tell us about that period and what it taught you about life and money.
For me, it was 2 years before I lost everything that was a major shift in my perspective. My wife, who was my dream girl, I met her in the 4th grade. My best friend, Rob, even asked her to go study for me in 6th grade camp, and she said no, and he embarrassed me, and so I threw an egg at her. But here I was, not only was I a multimillionaire, but I had access, because I was running Lee Steinberg, to what even billionaires couldn't afford to do, the sidelines of the Super Bowl and the locker rooms and all the things I had access to. And so my wife basically raised the biggest red flag and told me that I was lost, that she was leaving, that I was going to end up in a really bad place if I didn't change and take stock in who I was and what I wanted to become. And so I almost blew it, just as in the previous times when people who really loved me told me the truth. And my dad was one of them, and I told him at that time I hated him. My mom was one of them. I told her I hated her. Even my best friend Rob, the guy who asked my wife to go study with me at 6th grade camp, he told me the truth, and I told him I hated him. But thank goodness, after I had already told my wife, how dare you talk to me this way, the next morning I came to the realization that money does not buy love, that I was born into gratitude and forgiveness and accountability and effective communication, and I needed to make a change. And so I started to live with those values, and slowly but surely, including 2 years later when I lost over $100 million, I was prepared with values to live my life, not trying to get more, not living in scarcity. It wasn't a trade and negotiation. There was no zero-sum game that I was playing, but instead, my wife had catalytically put me into a value add game where I lived in a world of more than enough. And sure enough, here 17 years later, I make more money, help more people, and have more fun on a mission to empower over 1 billion people to be happy. And money doesn't buy love or happiness, but it allows me to shop. I just have realized to shop for the right things.
I love that about you, that you're really giving back and using your platform to inspire people. And I want to talk more about that message about making 1 billion people happy. Why did you want to do that? Tell us about that purpose for you.
Sure. So first, it's over 1 billion people. I don't let anyone limit me. So yes, over 1 billion people. And, I had been through a journey that most people haven't been through. And so I've learned all these terrific lessons on how to be happy. And as I was recovering, going from 33 homes in San Diego to a rented house with rented furniture and one car, I had realized that happiness was the key, and that gratitude, forgiveness, accountability, and effective communication was an amazing thing. So instead of living in more, I have realized I am happy, healthy, wealthy, and worthy. And I have figured out what I was doing to interfere with it. Well, at the same time as I was recovering economically, my daughter, who at the time was 12, her best friend, committed suicide. And it really threw me for a loop because, number one, I had no idea about the epidemic that we had in America and around the world of suicide, of people being unhappy. One of the fastest growing causes of death of all age groups and all demographics is unhappiness or suicide. And so as I was walking the beach and thinking about what I could do, I had my aha moment. I had my calling, my inspiration. Hairs stood up on my arms and I said, wait a second. I know how to be happy. I know how to empower other people to be happy. I want to change the world. I've been blessed twice in my life, and I'm not going to take it for granted this time. I'm going to give back what I know and how my definition of happiness, because I haven't met anyone who makes a lot of money, who lives in abundance, who helps a lot of people with that money and has a lot of fun with that money, that isn't happy. So if I could teach more people how to do those three things, then I could change the world, create a collective consciousness of happiness. And I will tell you, it's been an amazing journey, and it's happening a lot faster than I thought. But the scariest moment of it all was trying to go tell my wife, after I just lost everything and just recovered and on my own way to success, that my mission in life was to empower over 1 billion people to be happy. I thought she was going to throw me out again, but no, she's been in complete support, and I adore her for that.
Yeah. Well, you're inspiring a lot of people, and I commend you for that. And I like that you talked about, mental health is such a big topic right now after the pandemic, and even now people are still slowly recovering. So I want to talk a little bit about mental health. What's something that you do to preserve your mental health and work on your personal development?
Well, number one, I say thank you before I go to bed and when I wake up. It's free. It takes 0.1 seconds. It's the most impactful thing that we can do to program our brains to be grateful. And I have a saying about saying thank you, because as much as everybody agrees with me, and your head was shaking, yes, I love gratitude, Dave, just like everyone else, by tonight, half of us won't say thank you. By tomorrow morning, as much as we all agree with it, by tomorrow morning, another half of us won't say thank you. And despite every world thought leader, every sign from physics, quantum physics, and metaphysics that agree with us, and that everyone's shaking their head, oh, gratitude, 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 within 3 days, almost all of us won't say thank you. But I figured out why finally. And the reason is that things that are simple to do, like saying thank you before you go to bed and when you wake up, regardless of the impact, are unfortunately simple not to do. And so we have to be cognizant and aware of the simplicity in things in order to effectuate them and be consistent and persistent in the pursuit of our potential of effectuating those things.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for me personally, I learned the importance of gratitude because anytime that I was not grateful for something, I lost it. And as soon as I was appreciative of it, then it came back. So I learned about the flow of the universe. If you stop being grateful for something, you will lose it. No matter, if you're the luckiest person in the world, you will lose it. So I after understanding that concept now, I'm definitely grateful for the things that I have. And I definitely use prayer too. I pray to the universe and God, and I thank him every single day. I think it's something that's enriched my life personally. So I definitely think gratitude is important. I want to talk about your podcast, The Playbook. You've had so many amazing guests, from Cameron Diaz to Sadhguru. So what's one thing that you notice that is a trait that makes them successful, whether personally or their mindset?
Yeah, it's probably the best question someone could ask because we've had 1,400 of the biggest billionaires, millionaires, entrepreneurs, celebrities, athletes, entertainers, and world thought leaders. You hit the spectrum with Cameron Diaz and Sadhguru, Deepak Chopra and Brett Favre, or whoever it may be. But there is one common denominator. And the common denominator, as each of these 1,400 individuals that we've had on the podcast, they have one thing in common: the desire that they must be what they can be. They all enjoy the consistent, everyday, persistent, without quit pursuit of their potential. They don't care what other people think. They don't care what's missing. They don't care what they don't want. They're only focused in on, what do I want today? Who can I help? Who can help me? How best to get that done and prioritize accordingly in the trajectory of what I think I want in the future.
Very, very nice. Who's been your favorite guest, or been the most compelling, where you walked away and you're like, it just changed your perspective on life?
Two people, Sadhguru, and I asked him what I thought was the most interesting question, and he laughed for a minute before he could answer, because I asked him, because I find him, so enlightened. If you don't know Sadhguru, follow him. He's a very enlightened individual. But I asked him, hey, Sadhguru, how do you dummy down what you're saying so people understand it? And he thought that was, and his answer was incredible about meeting people where they're at and about your frequency being your neighborhood. But the other one was interesting. It was a guy named Rick Macy. Rick Macy is in the movie King Richard with Will Smith. He's the coach of Serena and Venus Williams, Roderick, Capriati. He's the #1 Hall of Fame tennis coach in the world. And every single second, like, he was dropping bombs and nuggets. I could, normally I can keep up with all the things I'm learning. When Rick Macy was talking, we're just at the same frequency, but man, he was dropping bombs. And in fact, from there, we both felt the same way. He reached out to me and said, Dave, let's do a TV show together. So now we have a TV show together called Game Set Life. And people will be able to pick that up soon on Apple TV and other places.
Oh, very nice. And I want to ask you, David, what's the best advice someone ever gave you in your life, and why?
It's really simple. It's the same advice I give to everyone, whether you're 15, 25, 35, 45, or I just turned 55 last week, and I give myself the same advice. Ask for help. I would have saved myself $100 million if I asked for help. Most people don't think it's a humble thing to do. But the easiest, fastest way to get to where you are is find someone that's already there and ask them for help, ask them for directions, and you will get there not only faster, but with statistical success.
That's an interesting one. Ask for help. That's so true, right? None of us want to, especially when you're an entrepreneur, you don't want to ask for help. You want to do it yourself. And then you get burnt out, right? And then frustrated when you could just ask for help. And I mean, having a great team definitely makes things easier, right? And you get to enjoy the success together. So I like that one. I think that one's a great nugget of information.
Thank goodness.
Yeah. And, after losing $100 million, becoming successful, having this great podcast, having millions, what does success truly mean to you?
For me, success is to be able to enjoy the consistent, everyday, persistent, without quit pursuit of my potential. So I have 5 daily practices that I live by to enjoy and accelerate what I want. So utilizing knowing what I want in the trajectory by thinking, saying, doing, believing, and feeling what I want, by asking for help and by giving help. I think a lot of people I add in there, everybody likes to give help, but make sure you ask for help and find those that you can help get to where they want to be. And then using time correctly. I study time every day to be efficient, effective, and statistically successful. In order to be happy, you have to prioritize. In order to prioritize, you have to know what's important to you. In order to know what's important to you, you need to know what you want, who you can help, and how to get it done that day in a trajectory of what you think you want. Prioritization is the antidote to procrastination and feeling overwhelmed, 2 of the things that are damaging our mental health. So if we can know our what, our who, our how, and our now, if you know what to do now, or you know what to do next, you're always going to get stuff done. You're always going to be statistically successful. And in essence, happiness is derived by the faith that we're connected to and through something bigger than us that loves us more than our mom. We are happy, healthy, wealthy, and worthy. These are the things we're doing to interfere with it.
Mm-hmm. For those people, because, I think the main thing for people that don't go after their goals is that they don't feel worthy of it. They feel that it's out of reach. So what advice do you have for someone that feels that way? They have the talent, they have the drive, but they just don't feel worthy of success.
That's almost everyone, just so you know, and including me. And in fact, I joke around, I have one of the biggest and top coaching practices. I coach the top 10 CEOs in the world. I've been able to that level deal with worthiness issues. And what I found is the best way to deal with it is counterintuitive. What you really want to do is start with the past and make sure that you take inventory of the defining moments, the inflection points, the historical relevances of the past, and make sure the meaning, because that's the only limitation of the past you have, is the meaning you give it. Make sure the meaning of the defined moments, inflection points, and historical references of your past are aligned with the trajectory of the unlimited future that you have. And then effectuate the daily practices in that alignment by doing, saying, thinking, believing, and feeling everything aligned with that trajectory of what you think you want, the unlimited future, knowing that the only thing that stands in your way of an unlimited future, of your own worthiness, is you. So it has to start with the meaning that we give the past. So many people get in their way by literally, I've had someone tell me literally, well, I can't do that because of the French-American War.
Oh,
I'm like, what? Like, are you kidding me? Now, give the meaning. Look, my bankruptcy could have destroyed me. Right? It could have limited me. Every time I started business, I could have said, I'm a loser, I'm a failure, I can't do this, I lost over $100 million. No, that's not the meaning I gave my bankruptcy. I did the day I had it. I was depressed for sure, but I have given the meaning of my bankruptcy that it has saved my life, saved my marriage, and made me stronger in order to effectuate making over 1 billion people happy and changing the world.
Absolutely. I think it's funny because last week I did an intro talking about happy people are not always happy. They have the same highs and lows as everyone else, but instead they choose to be happy and put one foot in front of the other regardless. And they realize that they're the creator of their own destiny, right? And again, it's the meanings we give things. Even with failure, it could be your greatest success if you see it like that, right? So
yeah, and I think time is really important as well, because just to interject there, that happy people, I always say on average, people have 8 different things that happen to, on average, every single human has 8 things that happen to them every day that cause pain, setbacks, failures, mistakes, etc. The successful, happy people only spend minutes and moments in setbacks, failures, and mistakes. They spend minutes and moments in ego-based consciousness with a need to be right, offended, separate, inferior, superior, anxious, frustrated, angry, guilty, resentful, all these interfering feelings. So if you use time as a dependent variable in your day to determine, hey, am I only spending minutes and moments in depression, anxiety, and fear? Or am I spending days, weeks, months in it? Because the same amount of bad shit's going to happen to everybody. It's just how long are you going to spend dwelling on the bad instead of looking for the good?
absolutely. The time will pass anyways, right? So
Exactly.
if you're gonna think, you might as well think big and think positive. And I created my platform to inspire, to uplift, and to motivate, to showcase success stories like yours. So for anyone that's watching this, going through a rough time, not motivated, and just maybe feeling sad, what would you say to uplift and inspire them?
Well, I'd say lower the bar first, right? So don't try to get it all back at once. And we see this in sports a lot. We see this in business a lot. So go ahead, lower the bar, know what you want. See, when you're depressed there at the bottom, at your basement, you need to now know what you want. Why? Because right now you have nothing. That's the way you feel. And the minute you know what you want, in a trajectory of what you think you want, what you want today, lower the bar. What do I want today in a trajectory to what I think I want in the future? Then you have a possibility instead of nothingness. And then when you find who can help you with what you want today, or who you can help with what you want today, your possibility becomes a probability. And when that probability now you put into action through the activities you have planned, don't have planned, your sleep, activity you get paid for, activity you don't get paid for, your probability becomes your perception. And when you prioritize what you perceive, it now becomes your reality because you start doing it now. You start doing it, saying it, thinking, believing, and feeling it, which then shifts your entire paradigm. So go from nothingness, lower the bar, just think about what do I want today in a trajectory of what I think I want in the future, and you'll set the ball moving in a positive direction.
I think that's great advice, setting the bar low and just taking it day by day opposed to doing everything and then feeling discouraged, right? I like that. I think that's actually very useful. And David, for our viewers that want to join your programs and learn more about you, where can they do so?
Well, there's two best ways to do so. One, email me directly. I would be happy to send my books, my guides. I sign books, I send them, I pay for the book and shipping on my mission to empower others. So email me, david@dmeltzer.com, david@dmeltzer.com. Or if you forget my email, david@dmeltzer.com, then just Google me, David Meltzer, and you can find me everywhere. I'm blessed to have quite a presence on the internet and social media. David Meltzer is my name, and I'm happy to be of service. Please, everyone, just remember, though, be kind to your future self and do good deeds.
Amazing. Thank you so much, David. I'm going to take you up on that offer about getting some of your books. I'm excited to read them. But thank you so much, David. I love what you're doing. You're really, truly being of service to the world, and I can feel that. So keep up the amazing work.
You too. Thank you so much for having me. Let's do this again.
Absolutely. Tag TV is available on Roku, Amazon Fire TV, Apple and Android TVs, as well as on Apple and Android phones. Watch us live through YouTube and Facebook.